Hi everybody. Today I'm going to call this lesson 8-11. And we're just going to name this parabola vocabulary. It's actually a review sheet of quadratics, but you'll see why it becomes a parabola. It's not review. I'm teaching you the vocab now with this review sheet. I think it's the best way I can do this. Okay, so standard form of a quadratic function is, well, we have learned this already, okay? So we're doing it's going to be this one, ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so we've been using the a, b, and c. So that should not be a problem. So let's cross that one out. The shape of a quadratic equation is called it's called a parabola, okay? Parabola. Parabola. It's really a parabola. So this blue right here is your parabola. I want it to be blue. This is your parabola. This is the graph of a quadratic equation. Okay, so it's a graph of something with an x squared in it, an equation with an x squared in it. All right, number 3, they're pointing at this red line down the middle. Okay, this red dotted line down the middle. That red dotted line is called the axis of symmetry. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, axis is another way of saying line, like your x-axis and your y-axis. This is just another axis. It's called the axis of symmetry because it cuts the parabola in half. What you see on the left is a mirror image of what you see on the right. Okay? All right, next one they want us to fill in is this point right here at the bottom of the parabola. Okay? All right, that is called the vertex. Okay, so the vertex is either going to be the highest point or the lowest point on the parabola. So this is your vertex here. Okay? All right, so we have a parabola, we have the axis of symmetry, and then we have the vertex, which is the point. So I should write this, it's a point. Okay? So we name it x comma y. The axis of symmetry is a line, so we name it, it's actually a horizontal line. Sorry, it's a vertical line. So we call it x equals vux, V-U-X. Vertical line starts with x equals, okay? All right, so when the vertex is the highest point on the graph, we call that well, look at your choices here. It's going to be called a maximum. It's the, excuse me, it's the highest point. So we're going to call it a maximum. Okay, so that's the highest point on the graph. It's called the maximum. And let me keep going here. Number 6, the vertex is the lowest point on the graph. We call that the minimum. And you'll hear a lot of people call it the max and the min. So this graph that they gave us here, they gave us a low point. The vertex is the lowest point on the parabola. Okay? Now, if we had another parabola and it was drawn like this, it's called concave down. All right, if it was drawn like this, then we would have not a minimum point, but we'd have a maximum point. Okay? So, when the vertex is the highest point on the graph, we call it a maximum. When the vertex is the lowest point on the graph, we call it a minimum. Now, what are your solutions called? What the heck does that mean? Well, hold on one sec. I just wanted to cross these out. Max, min, axis of symmetry. Okay, so what are the solutions? So what the heck are they talking about, solutions? We're not solving an equation. But yes, actually we can solve an equation, a quadratic equation using the graph. Our solutions are the points where the graph goes through the x-axis, also known as the x-intercepts here. Oops, I like this yellow pen. Intercepts. Okay, cross that one out. All right, x-intercepts are where the graph crosses through the x-axis, just the way a y-intercept is where the graph passes through the y-axis. All right, next, solutions to the quadratic equations are called. They're called either roots or zeros. When we solve them as an equation, we call them the zeros, or we call them the solutions. But when we graph them, we call them zeros or roots. Whoa, hey. Or roots. Okay, so when we're solving the equation, we get like x equals 2, x equals 5. Those are your solutions, where they're also called the zeros or the roots of the equation, of the quadratic equation. Okay, so let's just do a little more here, and then you'll be done. I know you don't have the sheet, but just try to write down the vocabulary and what it all means. Okay, determine whether the quadratic functions have 2 real roots, 1 real root, or no real root. That means 2 solutions, 1 solution, or no solution. If possible, list the zeros of the function. Okay, roots and zeros are going to be the same thing. So, number of roots is how many times does, first of all, I'm going to make this is my x-axis here. I just want to make that visible. Okay. And let me see. This is my, well, I can't even find it. Where is my y-axis? Oh, they're not giving me a y-axis. Okay, that's okay. That's my x-axis though. So what they're asking when they're saying what are the number of roots? It's saying how many times does this parabola touch or cross the x-axis? Well, it's only one point that touches or crosses the x-axis. It touches the x-axis. That means the number of roots is 1. Oh, this is my y. Sorry. There's my y-axis. I was going to say. Okay, so now they're asking, what is the 0? Well, the 0 is when the y equals 0. So it's the x-intercept when y equals 0. 1, 2, 3. So the 0 is x equals 3. Okay, they're saying when y equals 0, what does x equal? Well, the only point where y equals 0 on this graph is when x equals 3. All right, let me outline these again. Do this better this time. All right, here's my x-axis. Okay, let me do the y-axis. Okay, just so you can see that well. All right, so the question when they're asking for the number of roots, they're really saying how many times does the graph, the parabola, cross over the x-axis? And in this case, the number is 0. You see this parabola here? It never makes it up to the x-axis. Okay, so the zeros, there are none. It's no solution. Okay, we've done no solution before. Stop. Okay, next one. All right, so let's see. This is my x-axis. Oh boy, hold on. Sorry about that. And here's my y-axis. Okay. Now, where does the parabola cross through the yellow line or the x-axis? Well, let's see. It crosses here and it crosses here. So it crosses twice. So the number of roots is 2. And the actual roots are, well, this is 0. This is -1, -2. So it's the zeros are x equals, and then it's a -2 and x equals 0. Okay, so here I am at the origin. I count left 2 and I hit a point, and then just at 0 I have a point also. Those are my roots. Okay, that's it. I hope you got a few of these things down. What I want you to do is just go back and write down some of these notes, what a maximum is, draw a picture. Just show me something saying that you did, you did go through these notes and listen to this. Okay. Have a good day, everybody.